So our story. So my story really first began even before I met April. I've had this call on my life to go and pastor and really plant a church. And when April came along, we got married. We both as a couple just knew that this is what God was asking us to do. We felt this pull, but we've never known when, we've never known where we were going. And so it's been 16 years of waiting. So 5 years ago, we decided to make a big ask of God. We asked God to speak into each of our hearts a location, one city in the United States that He wanted us to go to, the place where He wanted us to go and do work for Him. And it has been 5 years of waiting on that prayer. I mean, really, it was getting to the point where I was questioning myself and wondering, like, was it too big of an ask? Was it just too much, God? Or maybe He wanted to tell us in a different way. So come 2020, we were taking some time to pray and fast as a couple. And there were several times we were doing this every single month, just praying and fasting. And there was one time in February where we had just ended this period of praying and fasting. We were in our backyard. And I was praying out loud. And as soon as I started praying, it was the same prayer that I prayed literally 1,000 times, saying, God, just if you're ready to speak a place, if you're ready to tell us where you want us to go, then let us know. But if not, then just tell me to be patient. And the minute that I say this prayer, I hear this, I really hear this voice. I hear inside my spirit, like loudly a name. And it was so loudly, so abruptly that I actually stopped praying. And I asked April, like, did you just get a sense of anything, or did you hear anything? And she said, no, she was just hanging out. So I said, well, I'm just going to ignore it then. April was like, that was just my imagination. That was nothing. I'm just going to blow it off. Let's just keep going. She's like, no, you have to listen to that. I'm like, no, I'm just going to ignore it. So fast forward through that night. The next night, April was sound asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning. You want to tell your story?
Yeah, and I actually thought 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard an audible voice. I thought it was our youngest daughter. And I thought that she had come in to say something and actually heard a city. And I was like completely woken up. So I instantly was like wide awake, felt like a little bit like Samuel, hearing the voice of God. And so I went out into the living room and I started researching a city. And it was only available, the city was in the state that we feel God has called us to. I was just shocked. So finally that night I was like, Joe, I can't take it anymore. I need to talk to you. Like, I feel like I got a place. You feel like you got a place. Let's make sure it's in the same state. So we're not going in two different ways.
So we decided to say the state to each other. She said, well, we'll say the state. If it's the same state we say to each other, then that's something. If not, then we'll just keep going like we've been going. So she says...
And I'm like, Idaho.
And I said, Idaho.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Whew. I'm glad we go to the same state.
Yeah, we don't have to plant churches in different states now. Yeah, that's convenient.
Thank God.
Yeah. Whew. So anyway, so then we say the city, okay? So she had heard this audible voice. She had heard the city Hazleton, all right? I, however, heard Boise. So we get out the Google Maps and we start looking, right? So the way that Idaho is situated, if you're not in Idaho, then you're probably the only ones that know this, but the bottom half of Idaho is actually called the Treasure Valley. All right, and on the west side of this is Boise, and on the far east side is Hazleton. And so we're looking at this valley, and it's like, well, God, you narrowed it down. At least we're looking at about a 120-mile strip of road
along the Snake River.
Along the Snake River, that something is happening. So we started getting really excited. I have to say that, like, I've always kind of had a picture of where I hoped that God was going to send us, and I was hoping for mountains and valleys. And don't be offended if you're from Idaho, please. But when I first heard Idaho, I really was thinking like fields of potatoes.
Potato land. Potato land.
Come on, God. Come on. Like dirt and potatoes.
We love you, Idaho.
Yeah, so that's I'm just going to ignore Boise. Yeah. So but we looked at pictures and it's just gorgeous, guys.
Beautiful.
Idaho is absolutely stunning. And so, we had the whole COVID crisis pop up almost immediately when we're planning this trip to go and see the state that we've never been to before. So we had to wait a couple months, but it was months of praying, of looking into it, of getting connected with people there. And so finally we had a chance to fly to Boise. We decided to spend a week there, and we were going to follow this cookie trail that God was laying out for us. So the first day that we were there, we were able to meet with the local church planner. Just great family, great people, gave us a good lay of the land. The next day we decided that we were going to just spend a whole day fasting and praying and just figuring out like what is it that God is trying to speak to us through this place. And so we're hanging out, and a really interesting thing about this is up to this point, April has been talking for I don't know how long about how she hopes wherever we go that there's roses there, that she'll be able to plant some roses, because roses are hard to grow in Florida, apparently, and she really wanted to plant some roses.
I love roses.
She loves roses. Yeah. So when we fly into Boise, it literally was like God had a bucket of roses and just dumped them out on Boise. I mean, literally everywhere that we went, there were roses everywhere. There were roses in the pottery plants and outside the hotel. There were roses up and down the interstates. And every single house that we saw anywhere, no matter where we went, had roses planted in its yard. So then we go to this little park, this beautiful park that was beside a river. And we were going to go and fast and pray and just spend the day trying to listen to God and giving God some space to speak to us beside this park. And lo and behold, in the middle of this park is a giant rose garden.
Woohoo!
Yes, with 120 different varieties of roses planted and procured.
Thank you, God.
Yes,
That was
by
for
the
me.
Women's Society of Roses. So April was in cloud nine. She already made it to heaven. I was just trailing along. So it was a great day. But however, we didn't hear anything from God. I was wanting to put some dots together, and still we're just in Boise trying to figure out what it is that God's telling us. So we decided the next day that we had to drive down to Hazleton. All right, so Hazleton was about a 2-hour drive southeast of Boise. Idaho is very beautiful, but they also call this portion of Idaho the high desert. And that's what it is. It's literally like sand and scrub brushes. I was telling her, if we break down on this drive, that we're going to die, because I don't have the wilderness experience to get us through this, all right? Yep. So let's not break down. But it was just beautiful, though. It was a great drive. As we were driving and getting closer to Hazleton, I knew that Hazleton was a small place. I was hoping personally that there would be like a diner or some place with like some sage of an old waitress that would say, "Oh, I've been praying and waiting for you guys. Here you are. I'm so happy to finally see you. Come and plant a church here. Yay." And all our answers are solved, and it's just easy. So no such way. Yeah, there was no place open in Hazleton except for one little gas station, all right? So we stop in at this gas station. I'm asking them, is there like a place to eat or hang out here in Hazleton? Well, no, the only place to get anything to eat is the bar, and the bar is not open yet. And so, well, yeah. Yeah. So anyways, we drove over across town to a park. There was a soccer field, and decided just to go and again give God some space and just give him a chance to speak to us. So we did a prayer walk around the park. We really just committed that this is a small place, but God, if this is where you want us to be, then we will commit to be here. We will follow you where you lead us, and we will do what you want us to do. But God, we really need you to speak more than just a voice whispered in the night. I need to hear something, God. I need to see something to commit like we were getting ready to commit.
Again, it felt very much like our 16 years of waiting, of silence and quiet and waiting. And God, is this it? No. We're feeling no, and no, this isn't it, and this isn't it. And it's just like that, where we just really were feeling discouraged. Like, God, you've led us this far. What more can we do? You know? So then we get back in the car, and we are just completely discouraged, and yet still encouraged because we were trusting God for that next move.
Yeah, we knew that we were on the right track. We just didn't know what we were doing. So the lady that I had spoken to said that if you want to get something to eat, there's a road that leads just about 5 minutes away to a town called Twin Falls. It's literally just right across the interstate. I mean, you could almost throw a rock and hit it. So we drive over to Twin Falls. We stop at the first place we can eat. While we're eating there, I won't talk about the caliber of pizza that they had. Yeah, it wasn't the best. All right. Anyways,
I'm from New York, so.
Yeah, she turned me into a pizza snob. Sorry.
Yeah.
But we were Googling around, looking at the town. What's Twin Falls look like? Looking to plan a church. I'd already looked at the demographics of every city all along the whole Treasure Valley, and I already had my sights set on some other towns. So I kind of let's just mow through this town, and because there's a couple other ones that I want to go and see. So, but we'll give it the benefit of a doubt. Let's go check it out. So we saw that there was a Starbucks all the way across town, and there was a Walmart. So what better place to check out the demographics of a city than Walmart? So let's go get us some Starbucks. Let's hang out at Walmart. Let's buy some Idaho t-shirts and be tourists for a minute. So that's what we did. We went and we hung out a little bit and decided let's do the same thing that we did the previous day. Let's go. There's a park that's beside a river. I can see it on Google Maps. And let's just give God a chance to give us a yes or a no. Let us know if this is our place or not. And so we see this park, and so we're following Google, and Google is taking us, like Google does sometimes, through these weird little neighborhood roads. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to a park.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's going anywhere. So we're like going through these narrow roads through this neighborhood. Guys, all of a sudden, it opens up into this just beautiful gorge, this huge canyon, and the whole landscape opens up, and there's this beautiful emerald green river flowing through the center of it. There's people everywhere. People are kayaking, they're paddleboarding, they're going down the rappel lines, they're hiking.
Lines.
Yeah, the zip lines. It just was crazy, and there's people everywhere, and it was so gorgeous. We were floored, like literally just floored. So we go down into this canyon and park at the first place that we can, and we're just stunned by God's glory that he had laid out in this beautiful canyon. It was just amazing.
So beautiful.
So beautiful. Yeah, and so if you know us, you know that we're kind of outdoorsy people, that we really enjoy and love the outdoors. April was always going out with the girls, and if it really, to capture our hearts, that's kind of the way to do it. And it was beginning to capture our imaginations, and it was beginning to capture our hearts, this place that we really had barely ever even heard of. So there's a waterfall that we went to go check out just up the river, Shoshone Falls. We go to this waterfall. It's like literally larger than Niagara Falls, this place. Just powerful, massive, and absolutely gorgeous. And we go and we're in this place, and I'm talking to April. So the pragmatic portion of my mind is thinking that logically speaking, if God wants to drag us to this place, this kind of seems like the way to do it. That maybe God didn't want to speak the place directly to us, but instead, maybe God wanted to, instead of telling, he wanted to show.
Yes.
The Bible says, look and see, taste and see that the Lord is good. And we feel like that's kind of what God was doing. When we were standing there, we felt like we were home.
Oh, so much.
Yeah, and I felt like I really don't want to leave this place. If it ends up being somewhere else, I'm really going to be kind of disappointed. Like, I'm kind of falling in love with this town. So we kind of decided to just camp out there and give God some time, and it felt right. It felt like home. So we drove around town. Now we're excited. We're looking around, and the town is cute. The town is beautiful, and the town needs Jesus. Yes. And it seemed like what we were looking to do. So anyway, so we're driving around, and eventually it's getting late, and we got to go back to Boise to our hotel room where we were staying at. But as we're leaving, it really had a sense for the rest of the time that we were there that it was just mission accomplished, that this was our place, this was our home, and that we had followed this elaborate cookie trail that God had left for us and had discovered this gem, this treasure that he laid out for us. And guys, his mercy, his grace throughout the way that he just left that there for us. It's kind of like when you leave a present for your kids and you want them to discover it, and then you watch as they unwrap it, and you just take such joy and such pleasure in their excitement of finding something new, of the excitement of finding a new treasure.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we got.
And after so long of waiting and hearing no's, not yet, just wait some more, wait a little bit more, it's coming, it's really coming. And then to feel that instant connection of yes, look at all of this that I have for you. I mean, it just, it was breathtaking. And I am so excited for that yes from God.
Yeah, I was tearing up on the ride home, and I'm not like a teary kind of a guy. So it was beautiful, it was gorgeous, and it's home for us now. So that's the story of how we came to discover Twin Falls and how Twin Falls came to literally just capture our hearts and draw us in. And we are so excited about the work that God's going to do, and we know that God is already on mission in the streets of Twin Falls, and we are so excited to get there and join him in that.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.